Word of mouth is the best advertisement you'll ever purchase.
This is Facility Rockstars, the podcast that celebrates the unsung heroes of our daily lives, facility professionals. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Join me as we honor these great leaders, sharing stories, insights, and expertise that empower us all to learn and grow together. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Coludus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Welcome back to Facility Rockstars. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Today's guest is a technology professional who has built his career around solving complex problems and delivering outcomes that matter. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because his approach to technology goes beyond tools and systems. It's grounded in discipline, continuous learning, and a strong belief in adding value wherever he operates. He's a technology and IT leader with experience navigating complex systems and environments. He's a problem solver who focuses on delivering results, not just activity, bringing clarity and execution to every challenge. He's a facilities manager for a growing manufacturing business. Tim Reynolds, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Jay. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Really appreciate you investing some time today with me on the show.
Thank you.
So we have some really cool, interesting topics to talk about today, not just facilities related too. You're a man of many interests and skills, so we'll get to all of that. Yeah. So, Tim, with all of your experience, the diversity of your talents, and everything you've done in your career, what would you say is your biggest lesson learned?
I'd say my biggest lesson is that despite being a lifelong learner, I still have a lot to learn every day about everything. You know,
Oh, well said.
Thank you.
Please say more about that. I mean, lifelong learning I completely agree, but yeah, say more about your philosophy on that or your,
Yeah, well, I believe heavily in education, and education comes in a lot of different venues. It's not always a textbook. Education could be learning from somebody next to you too. Um, I went to a trade school, and then I ended up graduating, getting into the trades, going to college, getting back into the trades, hopping out of the trades. And through all of that, I always tried to keep pushing my knowledge on every aspect of what I'm doing.
what drives that for you? Where'd you learn that? How did it start?
I can't give it a pivotal point that started it, but I would say it's always been kind of a passion. I just want to know how things work. I want to know what makes things tick and why people do what they do. You know,
Mm,
all of that and more just fascinate me.
I think you just tapped into psychology too.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So you started, you said, in the trades, went to trade school. Talk to us about that, because then you said you got I think your bachelor's, and then you went on to get your master's too, right?
Yes, sir. So I started painting at 14, and that was right before high school. And then I went to Tri County down in Franklin,
Hmm.
and I went to their CIS program, so computer information sciences. So not at all the trades, just something a little bit different. Um, and then, well, I was, any school vacations, summers, anything like that. I painted with my father and his business partner as well. And then I graduated high school. I decided to go on to college. Um, I got my bachelor's in the classics and political science. So
Mm.
little different, spun off in another direction. And then again, all through college, I painted weekends and painted summers and vacations to help pay for college. So
Hmm.
um, all of that labor, all of that learning, it kind of behooves itself in a lot of ways too. It kind of perpetuates.
Sure, sure. So you said the classics, um, information technology, the trades. There's a lot going on there. How did you land in a facilities role then?
Well, I've just kind of done a little bit of everything. My father was a bit of a Renaissance man, so from a very early age, I was handing him tools, whatever he was doing. Most of the things done in our house were done by him.
Mhm.
So I learned a lot from him. And then from that, I branched off and started working with other people and just sort of learning more trades as I went along. Any opportunity that somebody said, "Do you want to do something?" I said, "Yes." "Do you know how to do it?" "Nope." "We'll figure it out." You know?
It's a great mindset and great attitude. That's yeah. Often I've thought about when should I have said yes, right? And I may not have. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
always better to say it.
Yeah, exactly. At my age, I have a lot of, I don't want to say regrets, but things I should have said yes to. And at this point, why not just say yes, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You talked about. I just want to touch on the fact that I think you said something to the point of you're the same person in all scenarios or something like that, Tim.
Yeah, I really try to be the same person everyone sees and the same person behind closed doors as well. What you see is what you get. And I
Hmm.
try very hard to stick by that mantra.
So in facilities, we know there's several demands. A lot of people will always share, "Hey, every day is different. I never really know what's going to come my way." What's been the biggest challenge you and your team have faced over the years, Tim?
Probably the same problem everybody gets is there's not enough time in the day.
Hmm.
Everyone has a life outside of work. The answer isn't just stay at work. It's finding alternatives to get things done, trying to get ahead of problems before they become bigger problems,
Hmm.
asking for help when you need help. I think that's a big one a lot of people struggle with. Just say you need help. I find a lot of people are pretty open when you approach it that way.
I've found the same, and people want to help other people.
Yeah, it's an innate attribute of humans.
Hmm. And if you're brave enough to ask for help, you're probably going to get it.
Yeah, generally, right? And if not,
Yeah.
hey, whatever, you're at the same spot you were before.
Right. Right. Um, how do you handle things? Say you said the answer is not to stay at work. So when you're not there, is it like, do you have an in-house team? Do you use vendors for certain things? What does that world look like?
So I'm kind of an army of one. I don't have anyone really under me. I can pull people occasionally, but I currently don't have anyone under me, and I am in charge of 52,000 square feet of building, machine, and vendors, paperwork. So I do it all from top to bottom.
Oh, we have to unpack that a little bit. So if you're the one man show, you're doing vendors, you're doing paperwork. You've got, I'm guessing, a bit of oil in that machine shop of yours too. Uh, how do all these things interconnect, and how do you manage them all?
That's a good question. Some days I do not know, but I keep my head up and I stay friendly and I do ask for help when I need help. And so I'll go back on that it's generally well received.
Completely
And
agree.
unfortunately, some days you do have to stay a little later. That's just
Sure.
that's nature of the beast.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned vendors. How do you, or maybe I mentioned them. How do you procure them? How do you get good ones? How do you rely upon them?
So I actually received a list of vendors from my predecessor who retired about 2 months before I got there. Um, and most of the vendors there they've used for a while, so they're pretty solid. Unfortunately, the list is old, so not all the companies are still around. Either people retired or businesses they got gobbled up. So I have had to do my own research and go out and find my own vendors for some things. Um, and it's just about keeping your nose to the grindstone. Just
Hmm.
keep looking. I haven't always found what I wanted, but with enough searching, you do. And I'll also I'll ask another guy, another vendor, "Hey, I'm looking for such and such. Have any ideas?" And some people come up with good ideas at least.
I like that too. I think I call that a transfer of trust. If someone actually knows someone that you can say, "Hey, this group, this outfit, this person's okay." It lends a lot of credibility in my book.
Word of mouth is the best advertisement you'll ever purchase,
Yeah. Yep.
and you don't purchase it.
Hey, rock stars. If you're tuning into the podcast and are feeling overwhelmed by all the maintenance demands at your facility, Don't stress, we've got you covered. Our sponsor, Coludus, is your go-to partner to help you tackle all those demands and get them done right, on time, and with top-notch quality. From project planning to execution, Coludus is there to make hard work easy. Visit coludus.com today to get started. So Tim, what do you love most about your job and why?
What I love about my job is maybe what some people don't love. Every day is different. It really is. I walk into work and I open up the pages to a choose your own adventure book. You know, I have four fires going on. Which one do I want to approach first? And they all have their advantages and consequences. And I kind of like that. I like having that authority. I like being able to make the call, and I like being able to sort of uh, shift the winds, if you would.
Excellent. Excellent. So Tim, let's talk about communication for a minute. And, with you handling so many different aspects and obviously as other departments in the building, how does information flow? How do you communicate?
Well, with a lot of emails, um, and emails have their place and time. I think they're good for distributing some information, but at the end of the day, nothing beats a face-to-face conversation. If
Hmm.
I have a question or I want to clarify or get something clarified, I will walk directly to that person. Hey, how you doing? How's your morning? What's with this? And generally I have a smirk and they know exactly what I'm talking. As I'm walking, I'm smirking and they're like, I know what he's talking. He's approaching me for X, Y, or Z. So
So where does communication break down though? Say you couldn't have that face-to-face conversation with somebody and it had to be addressed.
yeah, if you can't get someone face to face, I will also find other people involved with a project or a situation. If I can't find this person, I will find this person. Yeah, if I
Hmm.
can't find this
Hmm.
person, I will find, or I'll even do the, if I can't find this person, I will find this person. You know, you, 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 you find who you can to get it done at the end of the day.
Good. Yeah. Resourceful. Unstoppable. That's what I heard. I want to jump back to your continuous learning and lifelong learning aspect. And I'm really intrigued by it every time someone talks about that because there's a drive that's driving you to do that that not everybody has. Um, and it's a pretty common theme on the show that we discuss. Now, I want to give a shout out to my friends over at IFMA Boston and overall because they have a great education platform. Like they really do a nice job over there. Matt Dean heads up the education aspect of the Boston chapter. But how do you like? My question for you, Tim, is how do you find resources to learn from? Or if you could talk to us a little bit more about what aspects of how do you grab those learning opportunities?
Well, the internet is a wonderful thing. Um, you can find a lot, and it might not be great for everything, but if you're looking for a manual, you can generally find it. It's pretty impressive. I found some, 20-year-old obsolete equipment that nobody knew how to work on, and then somehow Google found the manual for me, and I was able to figure out, how to fix something on it.
Hmm.
It's pretty impressive. Um, but books, documentaries, I don't think there's any sort of barrier on what you can use to learn. Like I said, just a conversation with someone, you
Sure.
can learn a lot. Learning comes in a lot of different manners.
There's something I've requoted on the show a few times, and like you said, conversations with other people. Uh, Another friend of mine from IFMA said that your problems are not unique to you. Just
Yes.
reach out and ask somebody because they've
Yep.
probably already dealt with it, right?
Yeah.
So
Four times.
right, yeah, or
Yeah.
400 times. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, what advice would you give someone in your role or a role similar to yours, Tim, that would, help them if they haven't thought of something here? What would that be?
I'm gonna sound redundant, but
Please do.
ask a question, right?
Mm,
Ask, ask. And then more importantly, and I think this is the thing a lot of people forget, listen.
mm.
Try to absorb and figure out what they're trying to say as they're saying it. And if, again, you need clarification, ask for clarification.
I like your very simple, and I mean that as a big compliment methodology around that because it's a really good way to do it.
Thank you. I like to be blunt.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Especially when things have to move fast. You don't want to beat around the bush. This is what needs to happen. How do we get it done?
Yeah. 100%. Something we didn't touch on, I think, in any of our previous conversations is really, to any great degree, is safety. And I know, you're a machine shop, right? So you have machine guarding, you have all these things that, you've got cutting oils that could slip, trip, fall type of thing. How do you handle safety in your facility?
Well, it's funny you ask because I'm also the EHS officer. So
Ah, I asked the right guy.
yeah, I wasn't really aware of that when I got the job. I was like, oh, another title. I'll say the place I work at is pretty good with safety. But the thing about safety is that you can always make it better, right? You can always make things more safe. Um, and then there's, going a little bit too far. You don't want to rubber foam the entire building, but you do want people to be safe, and especially when you're asking people to be busy and get things done, they're not always focused themselves on safety. So you need to think about how to make them safe when they're not thinking about it.
Love it. So, how do you help someone who's not, doesn't have a good safety mindset?
When I was younger, I certainly didn't. And a lot of wounds and a lot of injuries later, I realized that that's not fun. I don't want to do that anymore. And I try to tell people my experiences, like I was opening a paint can uh, over 20 years ago, and I ended up cutting. I was using a putty knife like a fool and just slipped and cut the tendon in my thumb in half.
Oh,
Needed a bunch of surgery on it. And that was just a silly mistake that could have been easily avoided if I was just paying attention.
sure.
And I think telling people like that, like you think it's nothing big until it is, it's just a little slip. That's all it takes sometimes. And it can be a career changer or a life ender. It can be a lot of different things.
Yeah. It's so true. Unfortunately, it is. Awareness is more than half the battle, I think.
Yep. Absolutely.
All good stuff. We may come back to a little bit of this, but I want to ask you about some of the. I gave a little teaser at the front side of the show here, right, Tim? And you've got some really cool stuff that you do. I know you have some visuals for those watching this on YouTube. One of which has been in the background. And maybe we start there.
All
What are
right.
we looking at over your left shoulder here?
That's a Viking costume I made my dog.
I'm sorry. You say that again, please. It's a what?
A Viking. Technically, it's a shield maiden costume for my dog. Um, she wears it reluctantly, but she wears it.
That's hysterical. Well, if people are watching, they can see it. I think it's fantastic. That's a first. We have not had a dog Viking costume on the show
Oh,
ever.
I'm honored. I'm honored. And then I carved the bust as well that it sits on out of a stump of wood.
Hey, roll us right in. You're a woodworker. What do you do with wood? Why do you do it? When did you start?
I like to work a lot with wood, but one of my biggest passions, and shame on me, I haven't done it in a bit, but this is the first spoon I made.
It's
It's a whale.
fantastic.
Thank you. It's made out of birch wood, and I did some fire burning,
Mm-hmm.
and made the skeleton on that side, and then
Mm-hmm.
on this side, the smiley face.
That looks like something you could probably sell 150,000 of those on Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket in the summer if you wanted to.
Oh, now I know, right? My wrist might give out.
Right. Well, talk about that. Like, how do you make it? What's the methodology? How do you do that?
For that, I just took a 2, 3 inch wide branch, split it in half, got rid of the little center, and then got my little spoke shave and just whittled it down. And then, a little curved blade, and then scooped out the actual spoon area. Then I got my wood burner and, drew it out with pencil and then followed back with the wood burner. Probably took about 4 to 6 hours altogether.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you do it for your own enjoyment, or do you ever sell them or anything like that?
No, I just, yeah, kind of make them. I was doing it for a while for friends, and then I got busy, and so they didn't all get it.
The lucky ones got it.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
a little favoritism there, or any
Well,
issues with the friendship?
it was more about timing, you know? It was like when they bought a house, I made a spoon for him type of thing, and then I did it for a few, and then I got busy, and, you
Got
should have bought a house earlier.
it. You missed out. Early bird. Um, you also, I believe you also worked in special education. I'd really like to hear a little bit more about that, Tim.
It was kind of a weird turn of events. I wanted to get into teaching because I got my bachelor's in classics. So I had
Mhm.
this strange idea that I wanted to teach classics to high school kids. You know, that's not a thing anymore. I don't think any school has that. But I did want to get into teaching, and it was kind of hard to get in. I did substitute teaching for a bit, but I didn't have like a degree in teaching or experience. So I kind of decided, the best next thing would be get into special education. And I figured if you can teach special ed, you can teach anything.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't say I'm wrong there. Um, and I started working. I was painting, and then I worked nights at the League School of Greater Boston, and I was working nights there at their residential. 3 nights a week, and then sometimes on weekends. And from there, I actually found out I really liked it. I really enjoyed working with the kids. And I became a para at another school, and then I just kind of climbed the ranks. I got my my master's in teaching, and then I got my license. I got into administration, and then COVID happened, and teaching got weird.
Yeah, it did.
And yeah, it did. So it just really wasn't the thing for me anymore. And I kind of missed working with my hands and, getting back into that world. So I just kind of dove right back into it, and yeah, not going to look back.
I appreciate you running us through that. That's, I mean, talk about a nice, diverse. I think we started the show by saying a nice, diverse set of skills that you have.
Thank you.
Um, that's great, and I'm sure those kids are much better for what you did for them. So that's wonderful.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun. I'd say, that's again a case where like, it's going to sound corny, but those kids taught me a lot as if
Yeah,
you want to learn patience, that is the way to do it.
patience and calm, zen.
Basically.
Um, great stuff, Tim. Really, really good. A lot of great data. Thank you so much. If people wanted to, I'm sure people will want to reach out to you after the show. How would you recommend they do so?
Oh boy, I don't know. Uh,
Would LinkedIn work for you?
Yeah, actually, that's perfect. Yeah, because I have LinkedIn, so that works. Yeah, great.
All right, Tim Reynolds on at LinkedIn. You'll find him right away. And yeah, Tim, thanks again, man. Really appreciate you being on the show. Thoroughly
No,
enjoyed this
thank
with
you.
you.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Jay. Thank you very much.
Of course. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in again to Facility Rockstars. You can catch us at facilityrockstars.com, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. It's been another exciting, awesome show, and we had a Viking costume on this show. So we'll catch everyone next time. See ya. It's a wrap. Another episode of Facility Rockstars is in the books. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Coludus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Until next time, facilitate and rock on.